And good afternoon and welcome to 710 Radio, iHeart Radio. And you know what it is and what time it is. It is high noon in Rock Hill, South Carolina. It's your girl, Rosemary. We're doing Rosemary's World of Cannabis. And as you always know, we start out just about this time talking about my favorite subject, THC.
Are you feeling like a shadow of yourself? Is your mood on its way down? You could be suffering from low THC, also known as cannabinoid deficiency, caused by 77 years of government interference via prohibition. Do you live in a medical cannabis state or the District of Columbia? Are you over the age of 18 and seeking non-toxic natural health, well-being, and peace of mind? Ask your doctor if cannabis may be right for you. After 10,000 years of recorded human use and 77 years of failed prohibition on the world's most extensively tested plant, the results are in. Cannabis has no known lethal dose and is arguably the safest and most comprehensive therapeutic substance known to man. Cannabis remained in the United States pharmacopoeia until 1941, and cannabinoids are currently patented by the federal government as an anti-inflammatory U.S. patent 6630507. Human brains have cannabinoid receptors. Cannabinoids are lubricants in the human body. Due to prohibition, our bodies have been denied essential lubrication. Imagine never changing or adding to the oil in your car. The use of cannabis for low THC may cause immediate relief, including a general feeling of well-being, chronic smiling or laughing, feelings of euphoria, increased creativity or clarity, a greater appreciation for music and art, the desire to dance, increased feelings of inspiration, compassion or unity, a need for truth and justice, or you may wake feeling more well-rested than usual. It's undetermined to know exactly how many symptoms the use of cannabis may alleviate because of federal prohibition. There were dozens identified in the 1909 Eli Lilly Pharmaceutical Handbook. Currently, over 80% of the population supports the right to use cannabis therapeutically, and 92% of its users have declared significant non-toxic relief. The most common side effects, which are usually mild to moderate and may fade or disappear completely over time, are dry mouth and drowsiness. Other more serious side effects can include growing and repairing brain cells and DNA, or improve vision, may prevent Alzheimer's, dementia, glaucoma, nausea, and suicide, may provide relief from autism, asthma, anorexia, arthritis, AIDS, cancer, Crohn's, depression, epilepsy, fibromyalgia, gout, IBS, insomnia, MS, migraine, pain, Parkinson's, PTSD, and spasticity. Use caution while driving or doing other physical activities until you know how cannabis affects you. May cause paranoia or nervousness, specifically caused by real-life government intervention in your quest for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in the USA. Ask your doctor if cannabis may be right for you. Brought to you as a public service announcement by the People's Plant, a campaign of conscience.
It is 3 minutes after the hour. Hey, it's Friday, guys. Really, it's a beautiful day. We ain't raining. It's still a little wet here, but otherwise, it is great. I want to give a special shout out on this Friday, Miss Dawn Lee. Miss Dawn, you are doing your thing. She went up to West Virginia, to Morgantown, West Virginia, to meet and document a real-life testimony of a former Republican delegate, Phil Flanagan. If you don't know Phil Flanagan, she was on the show earlier this week talking about Mr. Flanagan. Just one moment, guys. I believe that's our caller. Good afternoon and welcome to Rosemary's World of Cannabis. Caller, tell everybody who you are and what's your name and what's going on with you today. Just a second. Okay, go ahead and try that again now, Bill. I think we got you now. Yeah, we can hear you great now. That was on me, not you.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, so this is Christopher Kano, Executive Director of Central Florida Normal. How y'all doing today?
Oh, we are doing outstanding. I was so happy that I got a response back from your group to talk to y'all. I seen that your number came up out of the Tampa area. Do you live in the Tampa area, or are you just representing that area? Or what is North Central Florida, the area, before I say what I'm going to say next, represent?
So Central Florida Normal actually stretches from coast to coast across the I-4 corridor in Florida. We have members from Pinellas County all the way to the Space Coast. Our office is actually located in the Tampa area, but I personally live in Orlando, and so, we've been working to expand our chapter westward, just trying to be more inclusive throughout Central Florida. We've typically met in Tampa, and we had our most recent meeting in Orlando, and we're just trying to build up our membership, across the entire Central Florida corridor.
Oh, okay, because I was hoping you was out of Alachua County.
So, so we have a couple folks, a couple members up in Gainesville, and we would love to have, more folks from Alachua join the chapter. Okay.
I will definitely keep that in mind. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm waiting for y'all to clear the mess up. Wow. I'm from the area, and that's why I'm so intrigued with this. I have family still in the Alachua County area, and and when I got a chance to talk to y'all, so we can, I mean, let me let you know what format we have here real quick, and we are on the air currently. Our format is this. It's like a conversation like you be having sitting at the coffee table or on the couch, rolling up a blunt or doing a bowl. I mean, we have a warning letting everybody know that we do get explicit on this show because we're talking about cannabis here, and we're talking about a lot of people getting done. And I'm gonna be honest with you, speaking as a Floridian and having family members there right now, I am totally pissed off.
Yeah, Florida is definitely a state that is behind the times, and it's interesting because people always look at Florida as a political bellwether for the country, and the United States is behind the times. So as Florida goes, so the rest of the country will go, and that's part of why the opposition is fighting tooth and nail here so hard to prevent the implementation of medical in Florida and to really stop the movement for adult use in Florida.
Yeah, I mean, we gonna get, like I said, I hope you ready to get, because we're going to get down and dirty, because a lot of people don't get an opportunity to see the other states like I do, because this is what I do. If I have family members there, it's right for me to go ahead and fight for my family, because I have family members that, for reasons beyond their control, cannot come out and fight for cannabis. So I step in and I do the job. I'm fighting for Florida, North and South Carolina, and Georgia. So, believe me, I mean, wholeheartedly, wholeheart and soul, I was really upset by everything that I found out from the politicians getting their pockets lined. I mean, we're going to talk about all of it. So, feel free to say what you need to say.
Well, the beautiful thing about Florida is that we have the opportunity as citizens to pass our own, citizen initiatives through our Florida Constitution. And that's something that a lot of states don't have. And so, I really feel blessed that we even have that opportunity to directly affect our democracy here. In certain states, it's up to the politicians, and only the politicians to change the laws. There is no citizen initiative or citizen referendum possible. And so, what we've seen throughout the entire country is it really does take the people through citizen initiatives to really push their politicians and push their legislators to change. Most recently in Vermont, they became the first state to actually pass adult use through their legislature, and the governor vetoed it.
Yeah, I seen him posted that. That's ridiculous.
I mean, come on. When the people want it, when the elected officials who represent the people say this is what we need to do, and then there's still one person standing in the way, it's just infuriating to see that.
Yeah, it takes me off too, and that's what the problem y'all are having there in Florida right now. Basically, y'all have what's the best word to put in there? Put this properly. Y'all got 7 people that are currently running the distribution and growing and everything of cannabis right now, and they got all kind of legislators in the back pocket. Y'all had 5 different bills to go up, and none of them passed, or one of them passed, and then it was like, now the thing that got me out of everything that these people did, and trust me, I'm being real nice. If you ever read my Facebook page, I'm far more brutal than this. I'm trying to be real nice on this. Y'all have to the point now that you can't even consume flour there. They had a dispensary just recently threatened to be shut down because they was distributing flour. So if it's at the will of the people, they voted for it. Please tell me, when is the politicians gonna quit acting like they're the mama and daddies of the state and step aside and do what the people want, not what they want?
So it's interesting because here in the state we have 2 forces that have the ability to write rules and regulations. One is the Florida Department of Health, which is in the executive branch, is under the purview of the governor, and that's run by bureaucrats. Those are run by professional public administrators. And the head of the Office of Compassionate Use, Christian Bax, was appointed by the governor. And then you have, the Florida legislature, which are the elected representatives and senators who are empowered to pass laws to regulate the cannabis industry. Now, what we've seen is that the Department of Health sent a letter to Truly, which was the dispensary that was sending out what they call vape cups. So in Florida, you can't smoke it. You can't literally combust it under our current medical law. What you can do is vaporize it. And so that Truly was dispensing flower and allowing people to vaporize it. I mean, if people happen to combust it themselves, that's on them for breaking the law. But Truly was not breaking any law by selling flower. And that's really what irks the Department of Health, is that they think that flower can only be smoked, and that's just not true. You can utilize flower to make your own extraction. You can do all kinds of different things with it. And so the Florida Department of Health, like you said, playing parent to the people is just unacceptable. And then, on top of it, we have this 90-day waiting period that is really causing patients to die. We have terminally ill people that under current law, when they go to get their medical card, they go to their doctor for the recommendation. They have to wait 90 days before their doctor can officially give them the recommendation for the card. And so people who are terminally ill, who have critical stage 4 cancer, don't have 90 days to go see a doctor 2 or 3 times over the course of 3 months. They need their medicine now. They need access now. And, it's really sad. I had a friend from 6th grade call me the other day telling me her mother's in the final stage of stage 4 cancer. She's finally ready to try medical cannabis. And to see that, I told her what the process was, she was like, well, what am I supposed to do? I said, well, the black market's your only other option. And with the black market, that's not necessarily something that you want to send people to, because it's not laboratory tested. You don't know where the supply came from. You don't know if you're getting a high enough cannabinoid content to fight back cancer or dementia or Alzheimer's or any of the other serious, diseases that people are facing. So we really need the legislature to call a special session and really, just for that week or 2 weeks, however long it takes them, to hammer out the regulations and fix the issues that the Department of Health has. And it's really unacceptable for the Florida Department of Health to continue to sit on their hands and get things done. Since Florida Normal, along with legislators and other allied groups, actually had a rally last Thursday in front of the Department of Health in Orlando. And we had a press conference, and we demanded that they end the 90-day rule. And, from what we've heard this week from the Florida Department of Health, it doesn't look like they're going to do that. So it's really going to take the legislators to get off their asses and do something for the people.
Wow. I mean, yeah, I'm with a group that's called Minorities for Medical Marijuana. They're out of Florida. Roz McCarthy is our fearless leader. Yeah, they really, y'all are really fighting a battle down there, and I applaud y'all for everything that you do, everybody that's down there. But it's like this. It's gonna take a mass exodus of people going down there to Tallahassee. And this is the thing what everybody, and this is the reason I want to have you on the show today. And I want everybody to start in Florida to start stressing this rule, because believe me, every Friday it's going to be called Florida Friday for the next month. It's going to start the first show. Every Friday I'm going to try having somebody here from the state of Florida to stress the fact that we're going to keep pushing this until y'all going to get it right, because that is ridiculous for you to have to wait 90 days when we got people terminally ill. They're currently in a doctor's care. Then on top of that, this is the question I want to ask you. Like I said, I read for so many different states, and so from time to time I do get them mixed up, so I want to make sure that I'm not misquoting a state. But in the state of Florida, on one of the bills, I don't know if it passed or not, I'm praying to God that it didn't, it stated don't care what the age of the female was, they were going to have her drug tested.
Unfortunately, none of the bills actually passed because the legislature adjourned without coming to agreement, on a single bill. So really, right now, everything is in the ballpark of the Department of Health. What they wanted to do was they wanted to prevent pregnant women from using medical cannabis, and so they were going to. They put into the House version of the bill that any woman, before she could get her medical cannabis card, was going to have to take a pee test to prove she wasn't pregnant.
Like I said, incredible. I was a resident for Colorado for 1 year, and the whole time I was there, I was not asked to pee in the bottle. So yeah, Florida doing it real big.
We have 3 doctors in in our state house, and all three doctors, stood opposed to medical cannabis, and it was really sad. One of them even said that medical marijuana was a hoax, was a joke, and so we've been targeting them directly and asking them to respond and answer for their rhetoric. There was a study done in Jamaica that showed that women who utilized cannabis during pregnancy actually had healthier and smarter babies. And so they've been, utilized, and this is, a professional study, done by American universities, studying the impacts of it. And we've seen that women who are prone to miscarriages who utilize cannabis have actually seen the placenta hold up better after utilizing cannabis therapy. I mean, cannabis in itself is a nutraceutical. It's not a hard drug. There's nothing in there. Breast milk has endocannabinoids in it.
That is correct.
If you had breast milk that was, cannabinoid deficient, by utilizing cannabis, you'd actually be helping your baby become healthier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because matter of fact, they're in Florida, where I'm from. That's where I found out about the cannabinoid system. During the WIC program back in 1980, they was teaching about the cannabinoid system, and it was in breast milk if you decide to breastfeed your child there in the state of Florida. So, yeah, I've been learning about the cannabinoid system for a long time. So that's what it turned people's head when I told them that. But yeah, Florida has been on the curve for a lot of things. But the thing that breaks my heart is some of the things I've been reading about all the backstabbing with the politicians in itself, that they're in the pockets of a lot of people, and it's not right. I mean, on both sides, on the cannabis side and the big pharma side. But what kills me with these three doctors, that's all big pharma. I mean, bottom line, it is. But, like I said again, 2018 is midterm elections. And I tell everybody this on every show I do. You don't like what they're doing? Vote they ass out. I mean, bottom line is this. They work for us. It's not the other way around. And it's starting from the local officials all the way up to the White House. They have lost their way on what their job description is. So if we was on a job right now doing what we supposed to do and we didn't do it, wouldn't we get terminated?
Absolutely, especially in all these right-to-work states that we have.
I mean, you don't even get 90 days. If they don't like what you're doing, you out. Bottom line. So this is the thing I'm saying is this. I mean, I see, now this is just my prediction from what I've been reading so far. What it's going to wind up doing is it's going to go from medical straight to recreational in Florida at the rate it's going.
Well, it's funny that you say that. I currently sit on the board of Regulate Florida, which is our adult use initiative, and we're in the petition gathering phase. We're going to need to gather over 1 million petitions between now and February 1st. And on top of that, we're going to need the money to validate those petitions. We're going to need money for the public relations campaign, for the field campaign, because in Florida, to pass a constitutional initiative, you need 60% of the voters to adopt it. And currently, adult use is polling right around 60%. So we're right at the threshold, where medical was polling as high as 80%. And we saw that it passed with 71%, which is higher than any state in history. I mean, when we failed to pass it in 2014, it had 58% of the vote, which was higher than any other state previously. So, voters in Florida, regardless of political affiliation, all agree that medical cannabis is a good thing. But what we're running into issues is that now Disney World has come out and they're explicitly trying to ban cannabis. And so when Disney World gets into the fight and they're in your opposition, they got a lot more money to throw at it. It's no longer just Drug-Free Florida. It's no longer just the Anti-Drug Alliance and a few, wealthy guys who are invested in the private prison system. Now it's going to become a real fight and divided the state. And so we're going to need, funds. We're going to need high dollar donors who want to, help us out. We're going to need, grassroots donors who want to contribute, $5 to $10 here and there. But it's really going to take a concerted effort to back Regulate Florida's initiative for adult use. And under our initiative, it allows any adult 21 and up to consume, cultivate, purchase cannabis, which would allow folks to grow up 6 mature plants at home, and up to 3 adults in the household. So ideally, if you have 3 adults 21 and up, you can have 18 mature plants in your home.
That would be lovely. See, that alone, if that was on the 2018 ballot, I'd be looking at property in Florida right now. I'm serious because I know it's gonna pass because of this tourism in Florida. It's Florida, for God's sakes. It's no longer considered God's waiting room. You have a casino there now. You have the beaches there now. You have fishing there now. The only thing is left is cannabis, but we both know the dark side of Florida is cannabis has always been a part of the state of Florida. Just go ahead and be able to regulate it and tax it and get the taxes off it so you can use it for schools, roads, etc., instead of playing these games, because that's how I feel it's going to go. I feel medical is going to lose out, unfortunately, but, and I do have to put a but behind it, it will free them up to get it medically, but what I like to see, be honest with you, that if it goes that way, that medical is not left out of it because of the patients there in Florida.
Yeah, the move that Washington State made by phasing out medical entirely and just going, full adult use, I don't agree with that. I firmly believe that there are always going to be sick people who need this for medical reasons, and that the medical system should be one of, strongly regulated in the sense that it's all patient-centric, that there's independent laboratory testing, that we're testing for pesticides, molds, bacteria, and such, and that sick people have this high quality of medicine. And on the other side, we need to look at adult use as a revenue generator, to help out with, building schools. I went out to Colorado at the end of April, and I went out there to just make sure Rome wasn't burning, because that's what the Anti-Drug Alliance here locally says. And I was like, even the homeless people out there are happy, because they got access to medical cannabis. They have access to adult use. You can walk right in, and even the legal market prices out there are half of what our black market prices are here in Florida. So I mean, when you create a legal market, you take business away from the black market, you take business away from the drug cartels, and you're making the streets safer, and you're allowing the product to be more affordable for folks. So it just makes sense to move to an adult use system. It makes sense to have a medical system. It makes sense to move to an industrial hemp system as well. I mean, Florida has a citrus industry which is currently facing a green virus that we can't fix. Within 10 years, Florida oranges might be extinct.
Oh, wow.
And we currently have tons of orange fields laying fallow across multiple counties in Central Florida. So moving to industrial hemp, where we can use it as a biodiesel and as gasoline, where we can use it as a building construction material in hempcrete, where we can use it as a bioplastic, it uses so many opportunities to make a sustainable and green economy, and based on something that we can grow, based on something that helps this country, become independent. Most people don't realize that Thomas Jefferson sold hemp to buy guns for the Continental Army when he was governor of Virginia in 1780, because nobody wanted to take American money. We're a brand new country. Like, your money doesn't count. It's not worth anything. And they didn't want to buy it. They didn't want our tobacco, so he sold weed. Thomas Jefferson sold weed to buy guns for the Continental Army.
That's right.
There's no reason why we shouldn't return to our roots and become a hemp-producing nation. Why are we putting a negative in our trade ledger, importing hemp from China and Canada, when we can grow it here in America and we can grow it better?
Exactly. That's the thing that we're fighting with here in South Carolina right now. We passed the hemp bill. Matter of fact, I think next month, June 1st, is going to be the first date that farmers can go ahead and apply for planting hemp. But the thing that gets me is we currently have a bill that's similar to y'all bill, which scares the living hell out of me right now. And I see us going in the direction that y'all are in, and they keep telling me that I'm being Chicken Little, saying the sky is falling. No, I'm not, because I see what y'all are going through right now. And the sad thing about it, we don't have the luxury of having the final say. Our legislators does. And that's really scary. There's no grow in the bill. None for private, it's basically controlled by DHEC, controlled by DHEC, controlled by DHEC, and you know what that means.
I mean, it's just sad that there are elected officials out there who really don't want to educate themselves. All good public policy is grounded in science, and the science is there. And even if you don't want to say that, there's not enough research in the U.S., because you can't say there's not enough research. Clearly, there's enough research on medical cannabis that shows it as a viable treatment model. You can look at Israel, you can look at Spain, you can look at Italy, you can look at China. I mean, the Chinese and Israelis are currently trying to develop a diabetes drug using cannabis extract. So there is real potential here, and the United States has fallen behind. I mean, we can't sit up here and talk about America first if we're not going to be first, if we're not going to take a leadership role in it. And then you have an attorney general who wants to go back to the old ways of the drug war and crack down. And so, now there's state attorneys across the nation that are saying, no, we're not going to do that. I mean, we fought tooth and nail here in Hillsborough County, in Tampa, to get rid of our state attorney last election cycle. We tried to turn out the vote as best we can to ensure that the people would come out and choose a new state attorney, and they did. They chose, Mark Over, who was our state attorney in Hillsborough County, was the third worst prohibitionist in the country, locking up more people for cannabis possession than he was, locking up people for violent crime put together. And so now we have a new one, Andrew Warren, who actually supports cannabis decriminalization, who does not support the escalation of Attorney General Sessions' drug war. And so we need to continue to do that. At a local level, you can make real change if you focus on your state attorney's race.
Exactly.
If you focus on the sheriff's race. If you focus on your public defender. You can really affect things locally, even if things aren't going to move forward in the state legislature, if things aren't going to move forward in the governor's mansion. You can affect your local community more than anything. You can ask your city council to adopt a decriminalization ordinance where they'll direct the police department to write tickets rather than sending people to jail. And these are some of the successes that we've had on the ground here in Central Florida, and we encourage folks to adopt that as a national model. Because if you can't get things done at the state level and things aren't moving at the federal level, then do it locally. Try and make the little wins. Chip away at Jim Crow prohibition a little bit at a time. Because, that's what it took. I mean, it took decades to end Jim Crow laws in the South, preventing African Americans and all Americans from being equal. In utilizing public facilities, in applying for jobs, eating in public areas. And there were little victories along the way, whether it was, desegregated buses or desegregated lunch counters. And those were hard-won fights, just to make a small step. And that's where we need to look at the cannabis industry, is that the cannabis movement has always been a civil rights movement from its beginning. And, alcohol prohibition, they passed a constitutional amendment in the U.S. Constitution to end that. So understanding that we, the people, have to put more pressure on our legislatures, that we have to be engaged, that you can't just roll up a bowl and sit on the couch and think things are going to change. You have to be political. You have to be active. You have to be registered to vote. And if you lost your ability to vote because you probably caught a charge of something, then you can work even harder. Get 5 other people to vote. Make
exactly.
your voice louder than just you.
That is so correct. And there's programs out there in some states that you can actually get that changed or expunged. I mean, you can actually get, matter of fact, in Florida, you can get your rights back in the state of Florida to vote. So all those people that's got those charges, hey, if you done your time and you clear, can you go ahead and get your rights back? I mean, voting is the most misused right we have right now. And this last election proved it. Because if we voted like we should have, but, I'm not going to get in that political in that realm. I'm going to stop at this point, because when I say this, it still wouldn't have been right. We have a lot of changes that we need to make to some laws. We have 5 states in the country that you cannot write in who you want as president. Unfortunately, I live in one of them, because believe me, I wouldn't have voted for neither candidate that was on the ballot. So I'm going to leave it at that. But getting back to Jeff Sessions, Jeff is losing money because he is in the privatized prison system. That's why he wants to wrap it up. He's got the good old boy network crying in his ears because of all the changes. They ain't going to say that out in public, but we all know the difference. Because in Alachua County is one of the highest for being locked up for cannabis in the state. And I know this for a fact to be true because I've seen it firsthand. No, I was not one to be locked up, but I've had family members to be locked up for cannabis.
Yeah, Central Florida really is a hotbed for prohibition. I mean, you have Alachua County, you have Polk County, which is, probably the heart of it. We were on the ground, the day after the election here in Florida, we were in the city of Lakeland trying to get that city to adopt the decriminalization ordinance. And the numbers are clear. They had 401 cannabis possession arrests in the city of Lakeland in 2015, and 201 were black men. 3 out of 4 people arrested for cannabis in the city of Lakeland are black. If you look at black men making up half of all marijuana arrests, but only make up like 6% of the city's population, it is clear that it is a Jim Crow policy that they are going after folks, that they are trying to essentially, lock folks up and utilize the 13th Amendment as a tool for slavery rather than as a tool for liberation. And you talk about private prisons, you talk about the network of donors that Special had. The former chairman of the Tennessee Republican Party is the president of Correction Corporations of America, the largest private prison company in the country. And so when you see these interconnections of politics and money and the private prisons and ending prohibition, it's not just us fighting against just say no people. There are other interests involved. There are other industries involved. From petroleum to from plastic. We're fighting against a large money trust that does not have the people's best interest at heart, and we're going to continue to have to fight if we're going to see any real change.
That is so true. Speaking of Alachua County, whilst we're in that area, I was just reading, matter of fact, yesterday that they were saying for one of the dispensaries there that it would only be able to sell low THC, that it couldn't sell regular THC. Do you know anything about that?
Currently, the existing law is that you can sell low THC to folks, and then if they're terminally ill under the Right to Try Act, they can get full spectrum THC, full spectrum cannabinoid profile on the plant. However, back in February, the head of the Florida Department of Health, Office of Compassionate Use, which is an agency that regulates medical cannabis in this state, said people can just start getting their medical cards now and getting access. So, there are certain dispensaries right now in Florida that are giving, they're giving out flowers. They're giving out full spectrum oils and vape pens. And then there are others that are being, regulated unfairly. And so, even among the Big Seven, which is now 8, just recently this week, 3 Boys Farm, which is based out of Hillsborough County, won in court and licensed. And 3 Boys Farm is, I would say, I support them 100% because they're all about organic growing. They've had success in the other states like Oregon where they produce great product. And that's what we need, is that folks are going to put the patients first, and they're going to really put the effort into producing, high quality products at a lower cost. Mm-hmm. And that's what we need here. And so now that we're up to 8, there are certain growers here that have licenses that don't even have plants in the ground. They're holding on to those licenses because they know they can flip them for hundreds of millions of dollars versus the $3 or $4 million that they invested to get the license. That's
ridiculous. That is totally ridiculous. Yeah, I was reading about, what would you say their name again was?
Recently, Truly was the one, they're a Tallahassee-based farm, and they're the ones that were selling the flower. And the 3 Boys Farm is based here in Hillsborough County.
Okay, 3 Boys Farm. I'm going to support these guys because I've heard nothing but good things about them. And also, what I'm going to bring up, I understand they're from out of the state of Oregon. That's fine, well, and good. I was recently on, I'm not going to call this person out, but I was recently on a thing on Facebook just the other day, and they were looking for help in that area in the cannabis industry there in Florida. And they told plainly they did not want to hire nobody from no other states. So I put up, I'm currently, not currently in the state of Florida, but I was a Florida resident. I was born and raised there. I left Florida due to the military. So I had been back, and then I moved away again. But I'm looking at moving back to Florida. So by me still being a true resident of Florida, I never gave up my home of record. My home of record still says for our military, Gainesville, Florida. How do you feel about other people coming from other states or a resident that is ready to settle back in to the state of Florida? Well, should they get some preference, especially if they're veterans?
So there was a clause in one of the versions of the House bill where future licensing, one would have to go to an African-American farmer and one would have to go to a veteran farmer. And the reason was because the way they wrote the Florida law, to apply for a license, you had to be a licensed nurseryman contiguously for 30 years in the state of Florida. Well, if you go back far enough, black folks weren't allowed to have nurseryman licenses in Florida.
That's right.
There's an actual entire class of people that especially in regard to African American farmers who can't get, who weren't able to qualify. So they've recognized this, and in future licensing, they're trying to correct it. And then again, there's, of course, like you said, there should be some preference for veterans as well. I mean, if they're going to create a point system, if you will, for what it takes to get a license, there needs to be, some accommodations for folks who are local. And the interesting thing is that on the license application, they ask you if you have any experience growing it. Well, if you're totally from Florida and it's been illegal in Florida for 80 years, you're almost self-incriminating yourself by saying, yeah, I've grown cannabis in Florida before. So it's almost like the catch-22, if you will, is that we don't want folks from out of state, but where are we going to get the local talent that's grown it and that has proof or a record of growing it? You know what I mean?
Exactly, because like some people like myself, I went out to Denver so I could get that piece of paper, so I could get that experience. And now you're telling me because I lived in Denver or I lived in South Carolina, but I was born and raised there, I still wouldn't get some preference even though I was military. So yeah, that kind of bothers me a little bit. So I'm like, I said I'm gonna talk about that tomorrow. And it's a lot of veterans that's feeling the same way. I live here in an area where we have like a 25% veteran population. So when I go to the VA or out in the community, I get to stop and talk to a lot of the veterans, and I'm running into more and more of them each day from the state of Florida that they're ready to come home, but at the same time, they're going to be like, well, will we be able to get a job in the industry even though we lived there once upon a time and, we moved because of the military? I asked them, first of all, did you change your home record? A lot of people did. I left mine the same because I always want to be recognized in the state of Florida no matter where I go. Even though I call, like for instance, I call Denver home, I call Washington, D.C. home. My true home is in Florida. My military records, if something was to happen to me, would verify, take me back to Florida. So that's what kind of disheartens me because I want to know personally, I started to ask that person were they from Florida, but I didn't feel like a Facebook war, so I just left it alone.
About Facebook. Folks get real bold these days on Facebook, and you see them in the streets, and they're quiet as a church mouse.
Facebook thugs, don't you love them? But so like I said, I see that y'all got a lot of activities that's coming up in the state of Florida real soon to make aware of everything that's going on.
Well, here in Florida, there's even an effort at the local government to support the market. The growers here in Florida have hired lobbyists to get local government to adopt dispensary bans and adopt caps on the number of dispensaries they'll allow in their local municipalities so they can corner the market themselves. And we're actually had won that fight a couple months back here in Hillsborough County by getting them to shoot down language which would cap the number of dispensaries here. I mean, we have about 40,000 patients in Hillsborough County. Ideally, we're going to need 40 to 50 dispensaries to service that much, and our county commission wants to cap it at 11. And so now, on June 7th, we're going to have to go back to county center and revisit a fight that we've already had won a couple months back. And it's sad that this is happening all across the state. And it's because the growers who are currently in the market are hiring lobbyists to go and contact local municipalities, local county governments. And so there is a war being waged on every level of government. So it's not just going and writing your congressman. It's not just going to lobby days when your state legislature's in session. It's engaging your city council. It's engaging your county commission, engaging your local state attorney and sheriff's department, your police department, and getting them to adopt decrim ordinances and decriminalization policies. So, there is so much to do, and it's not enough advocates out there to do it. We need more people to get involved. I mean, we have 170 members right now in Central Florida Normal. We've only been around since 2014. But 170 is not enough. I mean, we got 11,000 people following us on Facebook. So we need to convert some of them 11,000 into soldiers as well. And we're going to need everybody, a concerted effort. And it is not just here in Florida. It's in your local hometown, in your local state. There's something that you can do, whether that's coming together and forming a normal chapter, or coming together and joining existing chapters, or doing something different and just forming your own organization. and figuring out how can we get folks under one banner working together to change these policies.
Exactly. That's why I enjoy and love what I do when I get a chance to talk to the different normal organizations throughout the country, and get to talk to the different. See, something that our media won't do that I will. I will talk to the people that they won't, because our stories, our voices need to be out there. Maybe, y'all found something working in Florida that we could use in South Carolina, or Virginia could hear something that they heard from whatever state. Matter of fact, on Monday's show, we're going to have Ancient Jay and Bob. They're from Sydney, Australia. They're going to call in, and we're going to have a conversation with them. I was listening to their podcast earlier this week that they did on Facebook Live, and if you didn't know any better from the accent, you would think they'd be talking about things that's going on in the U.S. So they agreed to come on the show, Losing Sleep, to do the show with us on Monday. So yeah, I'm reaching out to everybody, because this is gonna take a global movement, because all over the world we are fighting for our rights. I mean, no matter where you live, and this is a rights issue. Nobody should have to tell us what we can and cannot put in our body, especially when it's health, especially when it's a part of our body. Period. I mean, for 80 years we've been lied to. I'm sick of the lies. I'm sick of the crap. I mean, get over it already. I mean, that old horse is dying out. I hate to put it that way. We got more and more people that's recognizing, but for the people that's 50 and older, I hate to tell you guys, the hippies were right. I mean, they were right about everything that they said about cannabis, everything they said about life, and everything they said about politics. If you don't know, ask a hippie. They'll be glad to tell you.
And what's interesting is that in the course of human history, this is not the first time that this has happened.
Nope.
If you go back to ancient China, they were some of the first to discover the medicinal uses of cannabis and codify it. And they actually had their own periods of prohibition, over the course of their 3,000-year history for their empire. So, understand that things ebb and flow. And so we've spent 80 years in a prohibitionist state. And it's, in the next 5 to 10, hopefully we can, topple this and end it. But then the war on drugs has been propagated globally by the United States. And so there's international treaties that have to be changed as well. I mean, the UN recently met last year in New York to talk about the war on drugs and where the change is going. You mentioned about Australia, you look at England, people are losing their kids for giving their kids medical cannabis to help them with seizures. I mean, they're taking kids away from people. I mean, in the state of Florida, if you're a pregnant woman that tests positive for cannabis, the hospital can take the kid away from you. They charge you with child abuse.
Wow.
So there is a very big issue here, and it's a human rights issue all across the globe, and we have to step up. We have to say enough is enough. That big government is not going to sit there and tell us what to do with our bodies. I mean, you look at the LGBT movement and how they've been fighting and saying how government needs to stay out of the room and can't tell them who they can love, and we need to fight back and utilize those same tactics. You say you cannot tell us what to put in our bodies. You cannot tell me what nutrients that I want to utilize to make me healthy, that I want to utilize to make my family healthy. I mean, if the Department of Health and Human Services can hold a pact or use cannabinoids to treat Alzheimer's and dementia and Parkinson's and stroke, how can the federal government sit up there and tell us it has no medicinal value against one drug? How can they tell us it has a high potential for abuse when it doesn't activate your dopamine in your body, unlike opioids or alcohol? So there is no real physical addiction. There's no abuse to be involved in this. I mean, can you abuse, caffeine? Can you abuse the gym? You can abuse all those things, I mean, those folks who spend $20 a day at Starbucks are using their pocketbooks and their disability. They can carry stuff at home for 99 cents.
That is so true. And hey, I'm unfortunate. I have to laugh because I think about when you say that, I don't do it anymore because I found out what Starbucks really means and what they're behind. But I was one of those junkies. I love my coffee, and coffee is addictive. Coffee is a drug. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, and anybody knows me will testify. You don't want to deal with me if I hadn't had coffee. So, yeah, I totally agree 110% about that. And, I mean, I don't know what we would have to do to get this recognized, but what we're doing right now, we need to make the world smaller and smaller. We need to, support one another on everything we do about this drug. I mean, it's evidence this out there. I mean, people are not just gonna come out the woodwork saying cannabis works for me and willing to go to jail behind it. I mean, that's just the bottom line. I mean, I can't wait till I post up my update pictures to show them what cannabis has done for me. I had total knee replacement surgery done on the 22nd of March, and I'm gonna post update pictures this weekend of my knee replacement. The scar what I have right now. I've been treated illegally healed since then because I refused to take the opioids. For the few days I was in the hospital was the sickest I had been in a long time because the opioids that they were giving my system was just tearing me down. And like I tell anybody, the Sunday after I got out the hospital was the worst ever because my body was going through withdrawal. It was craving all those hard, and when I say hard narcotics, I mean the hard stuff, the stuff that they put you on when you have such a surgery. And it's ridiculous. I can't wait to physically see the bill to outline each one of those drugs and put out how much they cost. Yeah, I'm going to put the cost out there and all so everybody can understand why it's such a big fight. Big Pharma is fighting. Alcohol is jumped into the picture. The NFL, Roger Goodell, I don't know if you got a chance to hear the show earlier this week. I am getting ready to put up a Facebook page to ask everybody to wear a green shirt on opening day in their city and state, you know, and spray paint whatever they want to do to that shirt, their favorite team number, whatever the case may be, to send a message to the NFL that we're going to back our players and quit suspending them or kicking them out for use of cannabis, because we all know, and like I said, I'm living proof right now, when you go through a major surgery or trauma to your body, you need something that's going to heal it and as well as take care of the pain. And opioids does not, they take care of the pain, but they do not heal.
You know, it's interesting that you say that about the NFL. There are NFL players who have assaulted their wives, who have sexually assaulted women, and they get lighter suspensions than someone who tests positive for weed.
Exactly.
The hypocrisy of the NFL, really goes back to the hypocrisy in our culture and in our country in general. And I firmly believe that once the NFL flips and the NBA flips, then we have an opportunity to really push, because those are two large forces. They control legislators. New Orleans Saints blackmailed the Louisiana State Legislature. They're like, look, if you don't help us out with getting that big stadium upgrades, we'll move to another state. They pay $15 million a year in tax dollars to the New Orleans Saints in a clause so they can't even look at another city. I mean, that's extortion money in its finest.
Oh yes, it is.
Once we can flip the NFL and get them on board with this campaign, then I firmly believe that we can move forward. Disney World's probably going to fight it too, but so be it. Let's go forward with the NFL. Let's move forward with the NBA. Let's take a stand for our players, for our athletes who do so much in entertaining us, and they're left with broken and bloodied bodies, addicted to opioids. That's unacceptable. Mm-hmm. Just like it's unacceptable for our veterans to continue to be pushed pills at the VA, and in some of these states actually lose their VA benefits for trying to treat themselves with something that's a healthier alternative.
Exactly. I knew a veteran friend of mine lived longer because he went against the recommendations and used cannabis. It extended his life. He had pancreatic cancer, and he lived an extra 3 years. If he'd have been in Florida, he'd have died. If he'd have been in South Carolina, he'd have died. I mean, I'm just being honest about it. And I currently, like I said again, my doctors, I have both VA and civilian doctors that is in my medical records and has been in my medical records for some years. I use cannabis. So, when I finally get my benefits, it's going to be a big fight because I'm not going to stop using cannabis. When I trusted them to tell me the proper medication to use, and I used it as they asked me to, I wound up on a CPAP machine. So you think about it for a second. Do you really think I'm going to go back down that line, that rabbit hole again?
Yeah, I mean, as you should. You should have a right to live the healthiest life possible. It is the basic of our founding document in this country that we have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And the fact that this is an affront to all three of those things. Cannabis prohibition is an affront to life because there are sick people who are dying without access to prevention. Liberty There are people being locked up and enslaved by the criminal justice system. And then the pursuit of happiness, just to have a healthy lifestyle, and, to be able to pick the kids up and play with them, or to go out and do things with your significant other or your loved ones, without pain. These are serious, it doesn't make any sense. There's a hypocrisy in this nation continues when we have to force our legislators to live up to our founding documents, to live up to the social contract in this country. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, that includes ending cannabis prohibition, because that is one policy that affects all three of those principles.
Exactly. Well, Chris, I appreciate your time today. Oh my goodness. Hey, if you have any updates, you have my number now, and just let me know. Hit me up on Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, whatever. Hit me up. If you say, hey Rose, I'm gonna come back on the air, I would love to have you back, because let me tell you something, man. When I do come to Florida, you'll be one of the people I'll let know. I am coming to Florida as soon as the doctors release me, so I can give y'all guys some help out there, because like I said, my family is there, and I have family members that need this cannabis badly, and they need it legally. I don't need them to be illegally healed, because the area which they lived in, they would be arrested. So we got to do something, and we got to do something fast. So let everybody know how they can contact you for more information, in case we got anybody out there in the area of the Central Florida area that wants to join the fight.
Indeed, Rose. If they can join the fight by visiting CFLNormal, that's NORML.org, CFLNormal.org, or check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/CFLNormal. Follow us on Twitter at CFLNormal. If you got a Pinterest page, we always got fun stuff up there. Follow us on Instagram, CFLNormal. Just get involved. Come to one of our quarterly meetings. If you want to do more than just come to meetings, if you want to be active, form a local council in your local city or county, and really, make it happen. Get 10 friends together and get on the ground level. I'm one person, and Central Florida is a very big area to cover. So I cannot do this without the support of our members, without the support of great activists like yourself. So if folks want to get involved, there's opportunities at all levels. I always say, get in when you fit in. Whether you can contribute a lot of time or a little time, there's always an opportunity. Whether it's just you riding on one of our floats during the holidays, throwing beads out to the families, or whether it's you getting involved in the policy discussions in Tallahassee and Washington, or even in city halls all across the state. We're here to be a resource for folks, both educationally and as an advocacy organization.
Exactly. And now you got to worry about getting 9,999, because I'm on your CFL Normal page. I represent the people of Alachua County there. I got to represent home. So, you have one on the ground, and every chance I get, I kindly remind them about the cannabis laws, cannabis rights, and how they need to get off their butts and get out there. So, man, once again, thank you so much for taking the time out with me today. I'm going to go ahead. I know you're probably trying to get ready for the holidays, so I ain't going to keep you much longer, man. Anything else you want to tell the folks before you say bye?
Hey, I just want to tell folks, stay lifted, stay elevated, and remember, it's always better to be illegally healed than legally dead.
Amen to that, brother. Hey, you have a great one, Chris.
You all, too.
All right, thanks. Hey, that was Chris from CFL Normal out there in the great state of Florida. Wow. I don't know about you, but I got chills thinking about the young man knew history down to the science. I mean, wow. I cannot wait to get out to the state of Florida and get together with him and Roz. And whilst we're talking about the state of Florida, do you support diversity in cannabis? I know somebody who does. Minorities for Medical Marijuana. Minorities for Medical Marijuana, Inc. is a nonprofit organization focused on advocacy, outreach, and education to regardless of business, medical, social reform, and public policy aspects of the cannabis community. Why don't you join us? And benefits have the advantages, such as monthly cannabis and business investment network meetings, DICE, diversity, cannabis experience, network mixers, public policy updates, cannabis and scholarship, training and scholarship, physicians network, cannabis career center, business development, and cannabis pitch fest. All this is very true. I am a member. I am the chapter of Minorities for Medical Marijuana, South Carolina. So for more information, you can reach them at 877-900-0832 or www, the letter, M for the number 4, mmunited.org, or you can reach for Vote for Bud now. It can also be reached on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So, Roz, I hope you have a great weekend, girl. You have did your thing. You people know who you are in the state of Florida, and you can't ask for nothing better than that. But yeah, it's been a great week, guys. I have enjoyed talking to everybody about cannabis and what it can do for them. And like I was going to finish saying about Dawn Lee. Dawn Lee is out of Washington, D.C., and she was on here earlier this week. She was talking about the testimony of former Republican delegate Bill Flanagan. That testimony is going to be on a documentary called Speak Life documentary. I will let you know the date on when that comes out, because she's going to have a lot of people from 7 different states. Matter of fact, I am one of them that she came out and talked to, and it was a very interesting conversation. I got a chance to talk to her before I went into surgery, so you might want to check that out when it comes up. There's a couple other things I want to hit on real quick before we get out of here this weekend. I don't know if y'all check this out. It's one that's going through Vogue.com. How cannabis is fueling a new fitness movement. With the rush of yogis using cannabis during workouts, stoners are finally getting their fitness rep. Yes, I use cannabis before I go to physical therapy, because without it, I would not be able to get through it. I mean, to be honest with you, some of the positions you feel like yoga positions. So if you never tried cannabis before a workout, for those who is illegally healed or you're healing legally, try cannabis before your next workout. I ain't saying getting stoned, just get enough that you're relaxed. Your muscles will relax and everything else. And once you get back home post-workout, take a nice hot shower or whatever you do. Have your nice bowl or whatever you do. Trust me, your body will thank you for it. This is coming from somebody who knows personally about using cannabis and fitness. Now, this is something I'm sad about. I hate to end it on a sad note. The judge temporarily halts the Maryland medical marijuana industry. I got that posted up on my personal page. I posted it up on Ms. Green Jean's page, and I'm going to be sharing it with a few more people after the show. That popped up right before we came on air today, guys. I don't know what to say. I don't know if it's politicians' greed or what. But as we all keep saying, and as you keep being heard from state to state, and as you're going to hear Monday from country to country, we have to say something about how we treat our bodies. And the only way we're going to do that is get from behind these keyboards and these phones and let people know how you truly feel. I say it every day, and I'm going to say it one more time. 2018 is a voting year. If you don't have your right to vote, start working on getting your right to vote now, because we need you to vote. We need everybody to come out and vote in your local legislatures and your local events that goes on next year. We need everybody to get out and vote, because if we don't vote, we're going to be going through the same thing over and over again. And I don't know about you, I'm tired of the merry-go-round. I'm seasick. I'm tired of it. So the only way you can do it is do what I do what Chris does, do what Rick does, do what Wanda does, do what DJ Scruggle does, do what Don does, do what anybody else that's on my page. Right about now, ladies and gentlemen, most of the people on my page that are my friends are either advocates for cannabis. I run with a good circle of people, and I'm proud to say that. Most people would be ashamed to say who they run with. I run with activists of cannabis. Who do you run with? I run with people that's trying to save lives, to speak life, and to be about life. Who do you run with? Are you running with somebody that's going to be successful to help your body, heal your body? Or are you going to be running with somebody this weekend to tear your body down by the use of alcohol or hard drugs like pills or worse? The choice is yours, people. We done made one bad decision all as a group, and right now we're not united. We need to come united behind this plant. We know what it can do. We see what it can do in a loved one every day. So, with that being said, guys, I love you. If you don't do nothing else this weekend, thank a vet for our freedom, because they gave a lot and they're still giving a lot. each day. May God bless you and God keep you. You're in tune with 710 Radio, iHeartRadio, Rosemary World of Cannabis. And I love you all. I'll see you next week. Peace and blessings to you all.